Hello and welcome to the Fall Semester 102ers. Hopefully this is the second video that you've watched from me so far, because that introductory video, which was listed first in the announcement, will actually help you get ready for the semester. Now, if this is the first one, stop right now and go back and watch the intro. No, seriously. It'll make life so much easier. Just go do it. It's like 10 minutes. Seriously. Oh, good, you're back. And through the magic of editing, it only took me like 5 seconds. But hey, for you, it probably was about 15 minutes. Now that you've rejoined this wonderful experience, I have a very important announcement to make, and yes, I am actually being serious this time. These videos that you're going to watch this semester, or I'm asking you to watch this semester, are not meant to be full lectures of the material. If you wanted that, you'd be sitting in the classroom with me. Instead, I will not record myself droning on for the 80 minutes that you would spend in class to discuss the material that you're supposed to cover. Now, these videos are meant to be a quick introduction to the material, a bit of guidance where I see that students from the past got confused, and a bit of explanation on what's coming up. Obviously, once you go through it, if you have any questions, I am more than happy to answer them. All you have to do is email me, or send a Google Voice text, or call me, or whatever, and I'm happy to help, okay? Honestly, I hope to never have many videos over 20 minutes in length, although it does happen occasionally. These videos are meant to just get you moving forward. If there are any questions about the material, either in the video or for the week, please reach out to me and ask. Everyone's always heard there are no stupid questions, but I disagree. The only stupid questions are the ones that you're too afraid to ask, and they go unanswered. Answering questions is quite literally in my job description, so please don't just assume that you know what's going on. Verify that you do, okay? Okay. After all that, let's just jump in and see what we see, shall we? All right, the introductory video launched you through what this page is and where everything is supposed to be, so just glance to the right and you can see the masterclass schedule over here. Since it's the first week, we click on this, and boom. It'll be the first thing you see. Please notice, all assignments are due by 11:59 p.m. Eastern on the last day of the associated week, which is always going to be Sunday. Once again, I have the date range here, okay? So here's the masterclass schedule, and as you can see, there are 5 things to look at here. There's a video to watch. Yes, it's a long one. It'll help. Another thing to possibly look through, and then we have 2 assignments here, okay? So it's honestly a whole lot scarier, a whole lot less scary. There we go. A whole lot less scary than it looks. So let's just start off with what is an exploratory research essay, and we jump right into it. In this one, you're going to be introduced to the concept of, well, what is an exploratory research essay? Duh, right? Now, you can read through all of this at your leisure, but I might be able to help you grab the basics. Honestly, I'm a little too old to have ever watched this show, and maybe you are a little bit too young to have ever watched this show. I honestly don't know. But this is Dora. She's an explorer. Anyway, at the point of your current educational career, many of you have written a lot of papers. Unfortunately, many of you have also been given a topic, told to find 1 or 2 sources from a list, and basically you vomit that information back onto the page for a very bored, very lazy teacher to look at and say, yeah, that's kind of what I expected to see, you're okay. That's not real thought. It's not actual process. It's not real writing. It's simply an exercise to check off a few basics. This, friends, is not that. Now, once you go through and select your topic for the semester, yeah, we're going to be talking about that today too, you'll be doing research to support your claim. As you do that, you're actually going to be exploring the topic to figure out which direction your thesis should go. Why exploring? Because this shows your train of thought. That shows that what you value and what you consider to be important. It's not just, well, I have to write a paper on the history of basketball in North America. You now have to understand the nuances and causes and effects of your topic. You will do that through directed research and an open mind. Now, as you can see on this page, there's a process that they simplified for you. And it absolutely starts with picking a topic, okay? So we have all this material here. Introduction to the sample paper. You can actually look at all that here. Take a look at the sample. All that material is right there. But the process here, selecting a topic, that's where we go from, okay? Now, it's not meant to be fully formalized at the start, your topic, but you should have an idea of what you want to look into and maybe even your emotional attachment to it. Writing about prison reform is fine and dandy, but what's the argument? What can you do to show me what you care so much about? Once you figure that out, you can start to look into the articles and a website that will provide for you a much clearer picture of what your thought process might be. Make sure there are source material, make sure that there are sources out there that are able to address your initial questions on the topic. If not, you have two choices. Find new sources or formulate a new question. Once you've thought through that, it's all about revising to make sure that you put on the page what you mean to put on the page. Now, before you are assigned the paper itself, I will give you a proper directions and sample packet for you to digest next week. So don't worry, I won't let you drown. Until then, however, once again, you can scroll right back down here and take a look at the samples. You can look at the department sample right here. Here's the full text of what you're going to see in this Google Slides document. You can go right through it. That's helpful. Mine's going to be better simply because it's going to be exactly what I expect to see. And since I'm grading you, that's really helpful. Okay? So it's not a bad idea to start looking through this material just to know what we're doing. Okay? Once we get through that, we go back to the masterclass schedule, and you can see that the next document here is called Using CREDO. Oop. Why isn't that going? Anyway, there we go. Using CREDO. It's a database search engine that you will have access to through being a student here. Personally, I can't stand CREDO. I find it to be overly and needlessly complicated. If it's something that you're comfortable with, then by all means go for it. If you've used it in other classes, like English 101, and you said, hey, this really works for me, just because I don't like it doesn't mean you don't have the right to use it. So keep going. It's not really difficult to use overall, but it's just a search engine, much like any other you'll find. To be fair, they have cleaned it up a bit, but there's still a ton of material to sort through. It's not the best place to search for topics, but you can at least see what sorts of concepts are in there through the Explore Related Concepts section. So down here you can see the options, Explore the Related Concepts, we have the mind maps, and so forth. Personally, I think SIRS is a much better place to go if you're curious about a topic. The only drawback to that one is that they present everything in a binary format. It's this or that. There's no real nuance. Basically, it's black or white because gray doesn't exist to them. We all know that's not true, right? Anyway, you can start with CREDO or SIRS to look around your topic, but take the time to watch the video listed in the activities portion of the schedule. Oh, this one. Right here, this video. It's a long one. So take the time to watch that video, and that will really help you come through exactly what I'm looking for on a topic. So, now, I kind of have mentioned that you'll be looking for a topic, right? Well, in what makes an argumentative thesis statement or a debatable thesis academic topic, you're going to see many things here. We start to figure out the parameters of the directions. It's not just a fantastic explanation. Well, that's what the video I made is for. But it's not necessarily a bad page at all because it does hit all the high points. Make sure your topic is debatable. It must have a solid argument behind it. You can't just state opinion, okay? McDonald's is better than Burger King. I know a ton of people who think the opposite, okay? As you're doing that, you also have to make sure that you are assertive. You are stating something. You are actually making a stand on something. You're saying that federal immigration enforcement law needs to be overhauled because it puts undue constraints on state and local police. You can't just say, well, it's a tough issue. Many people disagree about it. No kidding. Give me something better. It's got to be reasonable. You can't come across as somebody who's just going to yell and scream and holler and throw stuff. All right? City council members stink and should be thrown in jail. That's a pure opinion. You need something that you're going to be able to back up, okay? It must be evidence-based, which means you need to find something that actually has scientific backing behind it. You can't just express an opinion like individuals convicted of murder will go to hell when they die. Well, that's great if you are a Christian. What happens if you're a Jew or a Muslim or a Hindu? What happens if you are an atheist and you don't believe in any of that stuff? What happens if you're a Jedi or a Satanist? That's why faith-based arguments are not going to work, because there's really no evidence behind it. Okay? It must be focused. One of the examples that I've used for years and years and years, let's say you love going to the beach and you want to write about the ocean. Awesome. 77% of the planet is covered in water. Okay? So can you narrow that down a little bit? Give me something in the ocean. Maybe, the protection of the coral reefs, or, stopping pollution or whatever. That will help, okay? But you need to make sure that your topic hits all of these points. So back to the original calendar here, the masterclass schedule. If we click on the stages of debate in topic selection, we'll get to this. Now, this is very serious and very detailed. There's nothing wrong with the page whatsoever, other than the fact that it is very focused and very wordy. There's nothing here I disagree with, and it's not one that I would ignore, really. I do highly recommend reading through it, but I want you to kind of focus on the following things. How are you going to express yourself in the paper? What sort of thesis are you going to put together, and how are you going to start your research with the questions that you choose? So, the tentative argument thesis statement. How are you going to start? Are you going to write that we need to overhaul the United States prison system in order to bring in more of a rehabilitative approach rather than a penal approach? Okay, that might be something to start with. And then you might ask open-ended research questions, like, are there any other countries out there who do move away from a retribution-based penal system more to the rehabilitative, and what are their results? Okay? Understand that not all of your arguments are built the same. By clicking on the accordion boxes right down here, you can actually see, they're called accordion because you can open and close them. You can see that arguments are more than just no and yes. Are we arguing something that is or is not? Who controls the narrative behind what is right and wrong? What or why are they experts? How did an event or a series of events cause something to happen? What are some of the results of these events? Even though good and bad are inherently opinionated ideas, do we discern what is socially acceptable and what is not? How does this change? And of course, my favorite, there's a big problem here. How do you fix it? Right here. Okay? Now, honestly, the best part of this page is at the end, and that's not me trying to slight whoever wrote this, which I do know who wrote it, and she did a great job. Don't look at things in binary. Go beyond pro-con, two-sided positions. That's what we're talking about. Binary, bi, is the prefix, bi meaning two. Don't look at something as black or white, up or down, left or right. You have to look and see that we live in a shade of gray. So find out how your argument goes all over the place, okay? So, figure out the gray while everyone else is dealing in black and white. For example, did you know that if you flip a coin, there are 3 possible results? Everyone focuses on just the heads or tails, but once in an amazingly great while, that coin might actually land on its edge. Just because it's not common, just because it's not probable, does not mean that it's impossible, folks. Remember that. So, before we get deeper into what topics you can do or should do, I want to touch really quickly on topics that you cannot do, just in case you are going to refuse to watch that other video that I asked you to watch, the selecting an appropriate topic. I want to make sure that you know which topics I don't want, I don't need, and I will not allow you to do. So now you'll have it in 2 places, which means you can't say, oh, I didn't know. Okay? After close to 20 years of teaching this class, I have a small list of topics that are problems. I will never assign a failing grade because I disagree with your findings. But you will not do well if you cannot support those findings, and that's where my issues come in. So what topics are on my no-fly list? I gotta tell you, there are some topics that I really do hate. There are some topics I hate so much that I don't even want you to think about them. Well, what are they? Well, abortion is still on the list if you're writing about why those who have them are going to hell. But over the last few years, things have been groundbreakingly changed in this country. Roe versus Wade was repealed, and I have a few students that like to discuss how abortion from a legal standpoint, rather than a faith-based standpoint, is supposed to be a right. Okay, we can discuss that before I accept it. But if you allow religion to seep into the argument, then it ceases to become a legal conversation. Not everyone has your faith. I said it before. There are Christians, there are Jews, there are Muslims, there are Hindus, there are atheists. Not everyone believes the same thing. It's the same basic principle if you want to write against same-sex unions. You're talking about faith more than anything. It's got nothing to do with it, so don't use it. Another topic that I cannot stand is college athletes should be paid. It's boring. I have seen every permutation of that topic, and while I think that student athletes work very hard, I'm tired of reading the same paper with the same sources. There's nothing new there. There's also newer legislation that is providing these athletes some money for likenesses and naming rights, so the argument is fading away, thank God. Another overdone topic, legalizing drugs, most likely weed. Please don't do that. Please, God, do not write that paper. Every time I see that paper, it only gets worse. Seriously. I know each and every source you're going to give me, and they're all terrible, so don't do it. Childhood obesity is another one, but not because it's not a good topic. It's just so terribly boring. I've read so many papers on fat kids needing to lose weight that I can tell you exactly how you're going to start the paper, how you're going to start to introduce the resources, and what your argument's going to be. I know everything. It's no surprise. Vaccinations is another bad topic. Why? Because these are scientifically and medically incontrovertible. They do not cause autism. Other garbage that you will bring up comes from mommy blogs and conspiracy websites. Don't waste your time or mine. Parenting styles and how one is better than the other is another bad one. It's all pure opinion with very little proof beyond personal experience. I've seen this topic far too many times recently, and every time it was attempted, it was awful, so please no. Social media is bad. No kidding. It's also an opinion, and it's incredibly vague. If you insist on this avenue of thought, at least take the next steps and focus solely on cyberbullying. That has meat on its bones, at least. But social media is bad is just far too opinionated of a topic, and it's completely unprovable to the extent that you will need. Gun control is another one. Not because I am anti-Second Amendment or pro-Second Amendment. One person cannot write dispassionately on this topic. Trust me. You're either owning a gun or multiple and hate that people want you to give them up, or You are fervently anti-gun and start throwing around insults like those who do own guns. Either way, it's not a good place to start, so don't do any of these topics, okay? Please. Finally, the last two. The Earth is flat and global warming doesn't exist. If you propose either of these topics, you aren't paying attention to thousands of years of human history and scientific study. You ignore science and geologic facts. If you ignore all of that, you cannot be taken seriously. You will also absolutely fail the paper. Period. Now, to find some ideas in case your brain is in vapor lock right now, let me show you where to look for them and get some help, okay? Never let it be said that I'm not a giver. So as you can see here, we're at the back of the first page that you would log in on my DTCC. You've got the Student Resources page. You're going to scroll down here to the Student Success Toolbox, and you're going to find Library. Click on that, and you can scroll down here, and the second basic division, there we go, is databases. All of this will work for you. Here's CREDO. Here's EBSCOhost. Here's the one I was talking about earlier, which I kind of want to spin through very quickly. It's called SIRS. SIRS is great to find sources, okay? When you click on it, you get to this page. The first thing you're going to see is trending topics. These are the topics that are most popular, okay? And as you can see, there's stuff in here that you can do that I'm okay with. Stuff in here that you can do that I'm not okay with. So just use your brains, okay? Editors' picks, the people who run the site, think that these are the best topics. So you can take a look at these. And if you just want to go off on your own, you can start clicking on to whatever you want. If you have an idea, you can actually click on the leading researcher and kind of search like you would in Google. But let's just go in here and we will do artificial intelligence. That seems to be a very popular one. It's called a leading issue, so it's going to have a very specific page. You can actually see a summary of the overall topic here. And then it'll show you two sides. Remember I talked about binary? You know, yes, artificial intelligence is going to be great for society. No, artificial intelligence is going to kill us all. So here are our viewpoints, okay? Once we get through, you can see that it's listing out 3 different sources for each one. Great. And then down here, it's going to give you some questions to start off thinking along with a editorial cartoon, okay? And then, of course, we have our timeline, and at the very bottom, it'll show you different issues that have very similar understandings that you can go in. SIRS is great to find a topic. Another place that you can find is the Debatable Topics list. Now, you can see this through clicking on the masterclass schedule, and underneath the activities and/or practices, it's right here under Debatable Topics list, and you can come up to this. It used to be a terrible page, but then I and 2 of my colleagues went through and gutted it, and we created a lot of really awesome different boxes here for you guys to look at almost anything that you want to come up with. Okay, we have all this material here that you can look through. All of these different possible topics, all of these questions that you can ask, they're all right here. Are you allowed to use these topics? Yes, you are. Are you required to use these topics? No, you are not. So you can choose to use them. You don't have to use them. Either way, that's great. All right. We are done reviewing all the material. It's now time for the assignments. I can make this very quick. The first thing you have to take to make sure that you are indeed listed in this class as a participating student is the Academic Integrity Quiz. Once you click here, you will see this. I am telling you, number 1, back here, you need to read the Understanding Plagiarism document first. It's also right here. If you go right into the quiz, you will see that I'm also telling you right here to read the Understanding Plagiarism document. And down here, by the way, directions, read the Understanding Plagiarism document. What's it look like? It looks just like this. Now, you can go through it. It's going to give you some pretty decent understanding of what we're talking about. And honestly, if you read through it and understand it, you should do perfectly fine on the actual quiz itself. But I can sum it up just by saying this. Do your own work. If you copy and paste, you're cheating. If you get someone else to write your paper for you, you're cheating. If you're reusing old papers, you're cheating. If you're using generative AI to create all or part of your paper to save you time and effort, you are cheating. Please just do your own work and, hey, plagiarism is using someone else's work and not giving them proper credit. So if you do something that says it's yours and it's not, yeah, you're a cheater. Once you do that, you will go through this page, click Start Quiz, and it'll take you, I believe there are 10 or 11 questions, and then the last one is a pledge that you're going to take for me about not using AI. So let's be good little students here and not do that, okay? Once we are done that, then we go through and we participate in the Topic Development Brainstorm Part 1. So it's a discussion board. Honestly, I want you to read through it. You're going to type up 3 paragraphs. The first one's going to start by introducing yourself, maybe some hobbies, maybe some special interests, who you are and how you got here. Then you're going to talk about your choice of major in paragraph 2. What exactly are you thinking about? How are you doing it? Why'd you choose it? Topics of interest, what sort of things are you really into, okay? Now, I'm not just going to leave it up to you to say, oh, well, I think that's going to be good. Why? Because I wrote a sample document for you. This is what it should look like when you're done, okay? Please do not reply to this sample, because when you're done, you have to go back and reply to 2 of your peers' posts. So make sure you do that. So, here they are. Here's who I am. Here's my major. Here's what I'm interested in. So I write that, and it kind of gives us an understanding of where we're going to start. I will reply to each and every one of these. Each and every one of them. So make sure that you get all of your ideas correct and into the discussion board by 11:59 p.m. Eastern next Sunday. As you can see, that's it, okay? So once you do that and you go back and you reply to 2 people and you do this quiz, you're in good shape. And that's the week, kids. I know that for some of you, you are absolutely dreading the semester due to all the material I dumped on you in this first week. I promise it will not be like that for the remainder of the semester. As a matter of fact, this is a really long video, and I didn't mean it to be. I would think that 80% of what you got this week was a cover-your-butt sort of thing to ensure that you know about the course and where we're going. From now on, there's only going to be a single video each week, and it's going to be a lot shorter than this. Couple that with the chapter listings at the bottom on the announcements and in the descriptions of the YouTube videos, and you'll be able to glide through them pretty easily, right? Plan ahead, email me when you need me, and I'll be looking forward to seeing your topics by next Sunday. Have a great week and stay safe. See ya.